Morant was back for the Grizzlies. He missed the final 47 games of last season with a shoulder injury. He had 22 points, 10 assists. Park, how'd he look to you?
He looked damn good. He was playing with force, and that's what happened when you're away from the game. You miss it so much, and you want to come back and get a seat back at the table. But his boy in the backcourt with him, Desmond Bane, those two guys, in my opinion, are they're a top 5 backcourt in the NBA.
Ooh, something to keep an eye on for sure. This is a developing story. Shams Charania reported that DeJounte Murray fractured his left hand in his first game with the Pelicans here. Now he's out indefinitely. Brian, how does this impact the Pelicans' plans?
Well, this is rough because Trey Murphy is already out with a hamstring injury. And last night they didn't have Zion, who was sick, and they were still able to come back and win this game, which is important because they start a 4-game road trip today or tomorrow in Portland, and they're not going to have DeJounte for that for sure.
Let's go off to Miami, shall we, where the Magic beat the Heat by 19 points. Paolo had 33. Bam and Jimmy combined for just 12. Tim, you live in Florida. Do we got a new top dog in your state?
No doubt about it. Not only in the state, individually, I mean, as a team, but individually. Paolo Banchero is the real deal. This is a star in the making. And if somebody's going to take a bite out of that big 4 in the East that we always talk about, it might be the Orlando Magic. Keep an eye on them.
Let's go to Charlotte. Charles Lee got his first win as a head coach of the Hornets. LaMelo Ball led them to a win over the Rockets. 34 points, 8 boards, 11 assists. He's back from that ankle injury he had in January. He had that dime to Brandon Miller, too. Perk, how's he looking?
Oh, he looked damn good. And look, we forget, just because he was injured, he's in that conversation when you talk about rising young superstars in the game. LaMelo Ball is that dude. And now he got a new coach. His leadership skills is going to go through the roof as well.
Before we talk about the Golden State Warriors, check out what Draymond had to say before the season opener.
Man, the vibe's been on 10 preseason, one of the best training camps and hardest training camps, I might add. And I'm not saying we're going to go win a championship, but I am saying don't let us win another championship.
That's all he's saying. Don't let him win another. Draymond, in midseason form on and off the court, the Warriors beat the Blazers by 35 points in Portland. This was the biggest season-opening win in franchise history. Steph, he came 1 rebound shy of a triple-double, and the new member of the Warriors, Buddy Hield, he chipped in 22 points in 15 minutes. But the story of the game was Steve Kerr's 12-man rotation. This wasn't an accident or garbage time, and Kerr elaborated after the game.
We're going to do it. I've never played 12 before, but we're going to do it. So it's not easy, but it's not easy on anybody. But we just have to trust that from one night to the next, we're going to find guys and combinations that really work. This is as deep a team as I've ever coached, and we've got to lean into that. And we're going to play a lot of people.
Brian, you were all fired up about this morning. Why?
The NBA is 77, 78 years old. This is just not something that's done. He played 11 guys in the first quarter, which I know that Jason Tatum fans may feel a certain way about. But it's pretty phenomenal that he's got 12 guys that he can trust. And actually, what Draymond said is right. Like, their vibes are good. They swept the preseason, and they got a lot going for them. Like, I actually kind of think that they could surprise some people. But this is an audacious path that it takes a lot to go right and a lot of players to buy in and the coach to hit a lot of marks. You're threading quite a needle trying to pull this off.
Do you know that at my basketball camp, I don't even allow 11 kids on a team because I'm worried somebody won't play enough? Okay, that's at a youth basketball camp. Playing this many guys in an NBA rotation, I get what he's saying, and I think the key is he left out a couple of words. What he really means is for now, because what he's saying is this is going to be a meritocracy. We're going to figure out who's going to grab these minutes because it is not sustainable to do that for an entire season. But right now, what he's really saying is I have 4 guys that I know what I'm getting every night, and I've got a bunch of other guys that on a given night, it might be their night. So you're going to figure this out over a period of time. You got to have a larger sample size. Eventually, this rotation will shrink down to normal numbers because you just can't play that many guys because there's too many guys that are not going to be in rhythm because they're not going to know from night to night exactly how it's going to go for them. So let's see if it works. Last night's a great example of it working, but we'll see. Let's revisit this a month from now.
Look, y'all could debate the 11, 12-man rotation. Let me say something. The energy that I'm getting from this locker room right now, I'm feeling this Warriors team, okay? I'm feeling this Warriors team. And guys are bought in. I'm going to say this. Klay Thompson has lit a fire in that Warriors organization. They may not ever say it publicly, but him leaving and going to the Dallas Mavericks, Draymond Green and Steph Curry, they have approached the preseason and the regular season like they have something to prove. They've been about business. Their leadership has been through the roof. And right now, when you talk about, when Draymond just said the locker room, the energy, the training camp has been one of the hardest, one of the best, it's contagious. And they feel like that, hey, all right, Klay, you left and went, what? What's wrong?
No, I'm just saying, but you've won a champion. Is this, like, how long can this last, right? Because you have Andrew Wiggins saying that this is the deepest team in the NBA right now. At some point, feelings are going to get hurt,
it does,
aren't they?
But it comes with who is in the locker room to be the leader of that locker room and police the locker room. When you have veterans like Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, it's not that hard to make the others buy in, right? So, again, Steve Kerr, I get it. Every single night you're not going to play 11 or 12 guys. It may be
saying he is.
He's not.
For now. He left out that part.
He's saying that for now. But, I mean, you know, it may be one night. For example, we had it where in 2008, at times Doc would play 10 or 11 guys, right? And sometimes it would be Big Baby. Sometimes it would be Leon Poe. I get that. And it's not, look, it's not typical. But the thing that you do want to do is that you want to keep the competition in the locker room and make guys compete for minutes.
I think he really likes the way the team is playing right now. He doesn't want to mess it up.
Right.
But I don't think this is something that he can do, and I think he knows that.
I agree with that. They're energized, though. I agree. I like what I'm seeing out of this team. There's no question about
it. Warriors, yeah.
Portland didn't know the season started. Let's be honest about that. But
this is a superstar showdown. We're not just talking about how good Victor Wembanyama can be just because. Look at this. Victor, Luka Doncic, they're the two leading candidates to win MVP this season. Very interesting. Luka co-favorite, Wemby has the 8th best odds here. Do you know the rule on our show, Tim?
What's the rule? You have a lot of rules out here.
Brian has a rule.
No ceiling on Victor Wembanyama.
There is no ceiling on Victor Wembanyama. That is the rule on this show. We do not put a ceiling on Victor.
Right.
So what would a successful second season look like?
I think for me, we're going to start focusing a little bit more on the team's success and how his talent starts to translate to that end of the floor. Look, they're not pushing this franchise right now to be competitive, be a playoff team. Even to get into the area of the play-in, they'd have to win 24 more games than they did last year. That's not realistic, even though you added a couple of veterans. But here's what I will say about Victor Wembanyama. Last year, I felt like every time I watched him, he did something on both ends of the floor at least once a game that I said to myself, that's the only player in the NBA that can do what he just did. And I think this year we're going to be saying more often, this league is in trouble as Victor Wembanyama starts to figure out how to be more efficient, how to draw fouls more. His confidence continues to grow. The team success, that might be another year or two down the road before we really start seeing him, take this team and now make them relevant in terms of a playoff series. I think they've got a little bit more work to do, but he's going to do things this year that are going to blow your mind physically.
How are we going to know that he's gotten better? You're going to know it when you see it. I know that sounds nebulous. I'll just go back to LeBron. When LeBron played his second year in Cleveland, they only won 7 more games and they missed the playoffs. If you had said, boy, did they get better, you would have been questionable. But if you actually watched him play, you saw, oh my gosh, he's got it. He became a top 10 player in the league that year. 2 years later, he was in the finals. What I want to see from Victor this year is he's going to be that type of player. And I'm going to tell you something, it's not going to be a doubt. When you see it, I suspect you're going to know it.
Perk, it was a couple of years ago that you would have been one of the players tasked with stopping Victor. What would you be thinking going into these matchups?
Probably would have been about 10 years ago, Malika. I was trying
to give you a couple.
But look, I was fortunate enough to play with some defensive-minded dogs at the power forward position. So he wouldn't have been my assignment.
And you would have been thankful for that?
Yeah, I would have put KG on him or Serge Ibaka on him and, help side would have been there because there's nothing you could do once he get in the paint, right? Mm-hmm. Like he's going to elevate over you. A little pushback to your legs.
Yep.
I believe that this Spurs team, they're trying to actually win more games. They're trying to get into the conversation of being in the play-in tournament. And I wouldn't be surprised if they're not preaching in their locker room playoffs, right? When you go out and you get a guy like Chris Paul, one of the best point guards to ever play the damn game, and you bring him into this locker room, into this system, you're bringing him there to make it easier for Victor Wembanyama on and off the floor. Also, adding a veteran like Harrison Barnes. But it's just Victor Wembanyama. Like, every single time I seen a post-game interview of him after they took an L, he wasn't happy.
No.
He wasn't pleased. He's not cool with losing.
No.
Like, and he wants to get better, not only for himself, but for the team. I wouldn't be surprised if this Spurs team is knocking at the door in the play-in tournament come towards the end of the season.
Don't see it. I think they're going to take, obviously, steps in that direction. They weren't even trying to be competitive a year ago. That has changed. They're going to try to win games this year. I just think they're going to probably be somewhere in the mid-30s in wins. Like I said, 46 wins last year. That's what it took to get to the 10 spot. They won 22 games last year. That's a 24-game leap. That's more than doubling your win total by just bringing in Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes. I don't know that that's enough to this roster to do it.
Again, like Wendy said, Lil Wayne, no ceiling.
I will say this. They won 22 games last year, but they were like a 30-win team in hiding. And I know that's sort of ridiculous to say, so I don't actually think it's as big of a jump.
Team
but
in hiding.
I know.
I'm going to use that one.
But I do think they were better than 22 wins.